Hello and welcome to the first episode of Scarlet Fever TV. My name is Nick and down below is my friend Chris. He's been a long time Scarlet fan. So basically what we're going to cover today is we're running through both teams have been announced, and there's quite a few surprises in both, certainly in the Scarlets team. We're going to sort of have a chat about how the pre-season has felt so far, especially have a reaction to what happened against Nottingham. We're going to be covering a little bit about the Peel interview, the Dwayne Peel interview with Gareth Evans, because that was quite interesting. There's a lot of interesting points in there. There's one sort of quite telling point that was made in Sean Fitzpatrick's interview, which I did want to briefly discuss. And we're also going to look ahead to tomorrow. We've got a live stream hopefully planned for a watch along for the game, which is only being streamed via the Leicester site. So if you don't want Leicester commentary and fan-based content, then come along to us. And then we're hoping to have lots of, in the future, varied content and things like that. So please tune in. And so we get started straight away. Dwayne Peel has named the Scarlet side. And Chris, what were your thoughts initially regarding this when you first saw the team?
My first thoughts were I wasn't expecting to see such a strong start in 15. I didn't think we'd see, obviously after, it was a while ago now, but after the Wales games, we had Tommy Rogers, John Davis, a couple of boys, Kieran Hardy, were all involved with Wales. I thought they would have been given a little week or two more, just to recover from that, because I was at the last Argentina game and it was quite a brutal match. You could hear every hit from the top of the stadium. It was nuts. I am impressed with the team we've put out for, in particular friendly. I thought it had been a little bit more mixed, but one player I'm looking for to see a big performance, a bit of a step up, is Dan Davis. I think against Nottingham last week, he was probably the one you didn't really, I was at the game, he was a bit oblivious for me, I didn't really
he had his moments, but I get what you're saying, because of our injuries there, with McLeod and things like that, then I don't think he's back yet, is he?
No, he's doing training and stuff.
So we are going to be looking for something from Dan, aren't we? Yeah, I get your point.
I think
there.
So.
Yeah.
Because he's bulked a lot, doesn't he? He looks like he's really bulked up over the summer.
Well, like I said, I did remember. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I do remember he did a couple of things that I noticed him. But I know what you mean. There wasn't like a full solid performance from him.
It wasn't enough from him, was it?
First game, there was a lot of rust there, as Dwayne mentioned, wasn't there? Any other points about the team that you noticed yourself?
I'm looking forward to seeing how Kieran Hardy goes. Nowhere now that he's got two young nines snapping at his heels, who were both, I thought, against. I know people have been saying all week, it was just Nottingham, but you got to remember that English Championship is quite a good level compared to our semi-pro level, So
it's a step up for them.
It was a step up. Yeah, exactly. That was probably the highest level game that them two in particular ever played. Yeah. Even though Harry Williams was with the Wales in the 20s, and he had a lot of he had a bit of a tough time, didn't he? I think in all the Wales 20s games, he was behind the beaten pack for the most part, and he'd done it right, but he had absolutely really not much opportunity to do anything good. But to come back from that, obviously that would have been, he would have probably been hurt from that and disheartened and maybe knocked his confidence a bit. But to come back in the first half against Nottingham last week, I was sat next to my missus, right? And I said, watch this kid, he's going to be he's going to be class. And his speed of service was good. His passes were like bullets straight to the man. There was none.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Maybe one or two went a bit.
His pass was.
Yeah, his pass was on point. It was really good. Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Peel when he was, back in the Scarlet days.
It shows really, is Peel seeing that? Is he seeing a bit of himself in these lads.
Yeah,
because if anyone knows that, and this is the thing with Peel coming in, his stature he was the world's best 9 at one point. When he went, when he was Test Lion in New Zealand press, everybody was saying he was making breaks for fun because he'd been used to a pack that struggled. So suddenly he's got the British Lions pack in front of him. He just excelled because he'd already been doing things, really playing well against, like, remember the Toulouse game and teams like that for the Scarlets. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, we're going off a little bit there now, but these young 9s, I didn't know what to think. It's just the first, like, on the Nottingham game, that was the first time I'd ever seen or heard of them. Because I've been out of the loop a little bit regarding the younger players coming through. My first impression was, these boys are tiny. And this is me talking, right? This is me talking, I'm small, right? But he was smaller than the referee, right? And I'm not having a go at him or nothing like that. But I just thought that initial, I don't know about this. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I wasn't like, I realised like our first, second and third choices are all away. You know what I mean? So it's good to have a look at what's coming through underneath, to check what it's like. Quickly, I forgot about that. We had a rough first 5 minutes in that game, but quickly I forgot about that with regards
me too.
to Scrum. He was dealing with the adversity well in that first couple of 5-10 minutes where Nottingham were dominating. And he like Peel said, he didn't have a lot to do. He couldn't get into the game. But you could see any penalty we were having, he'd look around the snipe. And I've always loved a 9 that snipes, that goes for a snipe and spots one and takes it. That's where, I mean, I as an aside, I think where the Lions were atrocious. I don't see what Conor Murray brings to that position apart from a box
physicality. And a box kick.
Being okay, he's okay, and he's not rubbish or nothing like that, but he hasn't got that spark.
There's no flair to him, is there? That
you want from a scrum half to offer a threat. Because it helps defend, that defence has got to mark him and watch him, so there is space outside. When you've got half-backs that don't offer a threat, the defence is just drifting out easily.
Drifting out, easy.
I mean, looking at, that was the team, obviously, that was picked before, but the point we were making was he's gone really strong here in comparison to last week, because we're going to touch on the Nottingham game later anyway. But my initial impressions were, I was reading the list and I'm like, this is like could be first choice in a lot of positions. That's all it is for Lions. Is missing, and one or two others maybe, but they a lot of them are on the bench. Samson Lee, obviously. So he's gone strong, and I started to feel. First of all, I was like, oh yes. Now my excitement for tomorrow's game is like more than what it would have been if we were just if we could send last week's team up. Like that was a bit of a mismatch. And the thing is, he named a mismatched team last week, but he actually played the weaker part of it. He didn't put Johnny McNichol on, who was on the bench. There was a couple of others of the bigger names boys. They didn't go on. So this is their chance now that they're under pressure. Like you said, the 2 9s played well. So Kieran Hardy coming in now he's got to perform. To be honest, I tipped him last season. I tipped him before his injury to make that playing for the Lions and to nail the test spot. I just made that sort of prediction. I just could see it in him. When I look at him, I see exactly the same sort of thing I saw when I first saw Jonathan Davis, Foxy, when I first saw Scott Williams, when I first saw George North. I'm getting the same vibe with Kieran Hardy in that. Yeah, a little bit of wow factor, isn't it? I just think he's got it. He's got that X factor, and
vision as well. He's got a lot of vision to him.
Sorry?
I said he's got a lot of vision to him as well,
Yeah, this is it.
He's always looking up.
He's got more to his game than Cowdor has got.
I think so.
And I love Cowdor. I think it was crazy not to pick Cowdor on the Lions tour. I thought he'd have offered far more of a threat. I'm
yeah.
about maybe not to start if he was going to go with Conor Murray, but or was the Scottish one? I can't remember his name now.
It's gone blank.
I know. And thankfully, so that's why you don't remember. This is the key, isn't it? You look at that Lions store and you watch him play, and you don't remember their names. I don't remember their names because their performances were forgettable.
I'll remember it after we've done recording this video. That's when I remember it.
Yeah, you look it up.
But another thing with the team we've named for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not just the game tomorrow, but the season as a whole. I think John Davis, the Fox, I think he's got a lot to prove. He's got a point to prove. Let's be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. Last season, he was crap, wasn't he? By his standards. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I think, and I know people might take that the wrong way, maybe from you there. I know you're a big fan of it. We all. There's nobody at this club doesn't love Foxy, right?
I love him a bit. He's class.
Yeah, he has been and he is one of the few players now that played Estradi. So like before, once Ken and Foxy and people like that go, that's it. The Stradi sort of generation has filtered out. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when he came back from injury last season, he did. I think he probably admitted himself he was struggling, and I think it didn't help him. Didn't they call him up straight away for the internationals just after his injury? He'd hardly played one game, didn't he? Regional rugby, and they called him into the national squad. Yeah. I don't know. He was struggling with sharpness. I put it down to sharpness. Yeah. I'm hoping it was just sharpness that he's got to have a good pre-season under him. So this is what I'm looking forward to. Is I hope he does regain what we know we can do. The thing is, you were saying about the scrum halves, the same is in the centres now. We've got some quality centres there now, a quality pool of centres. So he is going to be under pressure. But my preference would be for a fully firing Foxy to be absolutely. That's what my preference would be. It's just I want him to. I really, really do want him to show that. Yeah, that was just me trying to find my feet again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think as well, Scott's going to come on at some point, right? Probably for Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. That's what I want to see. I want to see him coming on. And even if he only gets 10, 15 minutes with the Fox.
Yeah.
I think that little bit of familiarity between the two will just add something big to the team. You know what I mean?
They were those that said, when they first came through together, or they didn't come through together, but when they were first as a partnership, they were those at times said, they're a bit samey. They don't gel together as a partnership. And I can see that at times it needed work, but it all depends what sort of tactics we play. And this is where coaching comes into it. Is like you play with what you use the players you've got and you play to their strengths basically. They're both incredible footballers on their day, and that's what I want to see from Foxy is his footballing ability to express himself more, not just be. Because they're getting older now, the physical side, they need to use their brains a bit more now, I think. And they probably will. But yeah, that is another sort of interesting selection. He's gone strong there, isn't he? Or he's gone that, I want to see. It's almost as if he's put them both there. I want to see what you're going to do. I'm like, selection-wise so far, I know it's early. I know it's only two pre-season games in. But I like the way he's staggered it, that he's put that third tier of players, put them out there. And when I saw some of those names, I was like, oh, this could, especially when you saw them stood next to Nottingham, they looked like underpowered, small, they looked young.
Yeah.
They it's a big step up for them, you could see it. But, I mean, team-wise, going back to this selection, Will Griff, John, this is the first time I'm going to see him start in the Scarlets. He came on last week, didn't he? I thought he looked okay as well. I thought he looked quite good.
The scrum was a lot more important when he came on, I think.
And he carried a few times and
carried a couple of times really well.
Yeah.
I've seen him a couple of times before, you know. I've watched a couple of like Premiership games and I've seen him, and I haven't seen enough of him. Like, you know, all I've heard is talk about him, everyone raving about him and all this stuff.
Same here. I
think he'll do well down here. You see a lot of players who come to us. I think he'll do well. You see a lot of players come to us, right, from Guinness Premiership clubs, from South Africa, you know, wherever, and they're sort of talked about highly, but they haven't quite got there. Then they come to us, and I think it's just something about, you know, I think it's a bit of Scarlet magic in the air or something, I don't know, but it sort of brings the best out of play. Look at Tyburn.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's something up.
Released by Leinster.
Yeah, do you remember Stuart Barnes? And I think it was after the try that Barry Davies scored in Northampton, where he slid.
Yeah.
And he just, in his, like, post-try sort of sum up, he went all poetic. And this is what we do. Like, well, I say we, Scarlet, you know, they do that. They let people's imagination go. You know, they inspire, right? And
they're charming as well, I mean.
And he said, this is a special club that every now and again is sprinkled with a bit of stardust. I always remember him saying that sort of commentary for that try. And it was just hearing it said from someone in England with Sky. It's like, they can see it. They can, you know what I mean? But
they're buying in, like,
And you're right, though, in that some players, they just fit our brand. And there's some players that don't. You see them, you think they're going to do well, and they just don't fit our style. They just don't fit.
Yeah.
They haven't got that natural instinct of, and they say I know it's a coined phrase, and it's a bit tacky, but they say it's in no DNA and all this, right? But it is, though. You know, our boys, when the boys have come through the academies, and even just West Wales rugby in general, it's a certain style of rugby that is imprinted in them at a very young age. So that isn't, and you see the difference then when you look at, you know, some teams. You know, there are other teams that do it too. I'm not saying we're you know, unique, but on some levels we are. But there are quite a few other teams that try to coach their young academy players to play good rugby, you know, and well coached. So yeah, I mean, going back to this team, Blade Thompson at 6. That was a bit of a surprise for me, actually. I was expecting Shingler to be there, to be honest.
I thought Shingler made a difference last week.
Definitely. But I'm surprised he's picked him at lock. But we're going to have, once everybody's back, we're going to have a lot of back row options, and we will be short at lock. So maybe, you know, but he is somebody that year on year, apart from his injury, obviously, kept him out, has got, like a fine wine, got better and better with age. I'll tell you another one, and I know it's not, he doesn't play with the Scarlets anymore, is for years he was like a promising youngster, but he never really kicked on, but he went to Cardiff, which is Josh Turnbull. I think he's developed into a decent player now. You know, one day I'd be happy for him to come back, maybe as a squad player.
If we'd signed him this season, if he'd come out and announced Josh Turnbull's coming back to us, I'd have been more than happy.
Yeah.
When he went, I was like not gutted to see him go. Yeah,
because I think Shingler and him, they were in that crop of academy players that came through, or when they were playing in the same team and similar age, I think, isn't it? And he's in, I think, Aaron Shingler is in the prime of his career now as well. We're going to see the best of him. And I think he's naturally filled out as well, which that will help him at lock. Whereas, you know, he's always been athletic, and we always had plenty of athletic forwards. We missed the grunt. That's why we were always having to sign the foreigners to shore it up. During the game, I was talking to one of the fans that was next to me, and I was saying, like, you know, regarding Morgan Jones and Josh Helps, we seem to have two locks there that have got promise to fill that role, and they're Welsh, so that would maybe allow us to use our foreign signing quota for a flair star player like an outside half, or you know what I mean? Because that's what the other teams are able to do. We've always got to use our foreign signing quota as the less specified positions like lock
I know what you mean.
or six, right? So yeah, it's just like if we could just get a few coming through, which I think we have got a few coming through. So yeah, I mean obviously it's not just a strong team. I mean yeah, even the likes of it, you know, the way things are changing here. You're Tom Rogers. Before
I rate him on highly.
I rate him. I'm really excited about this kid, but
yeah, me too.
He's now an international. You know, he's played for Wales, isn't he? He was picked.
He has.
To, yeah.
2 caps.
So suddenly now, he could overtake Steph Evans.
He could. He's got the potential and
when
the
you
talent.
Look at, you're going to probably there's Sanjay and Johnny Mack between 15 and the other wing. You'd think they were going to be taking those two places. So there's a shirt up for grabs between Ryan Combier, Tom Rogers, and Steph Evans.
And another thing, I think Dwayne Peel is going to be one of these coaches that's going to go, right, Sanjay, okay, you might be a Lion, you might have played for Wales countless times. But if I'm not seeing it from you in training, if your form is dipped, you're on the bench, son. I got that vibe about Dwayne Peel, you know what I mean? I think he's going to give players a chance. Like, I don't like when players are picked on merit from what they've done 4 years ago, 3 years, you know what I mean? I think Dwayne Peel is going to be one of them coaches where it's going to be a case of, right, Sanjay, you had an awful couple of weeks. You know, you've been sloppy all over the place. If he does, for example, Tommy Rogers is chomping at the bit. I'm gonna start him the next couple of weeks. I think he's gonna be that kind of coach, you know.
Yeah.
Like with Glenn Delaney, a lot of the time you saw he picked players who weren't particularly playing too well.
I don't want to dig out individual coaches because I don't think that's fair, because that has been a flaw to our culture for a long time before Delaney.
It was, yeah.
It's been with Gaz Jenkins, with Nigel, with a few coaches that we've had, right? That were good coaches, but the club sort of, sometimes we were too loyal.
Yeah, I think so.
And, you know, sometimes we'd be picking players based on what they've done in the past. And then we'd have a really good young player in the squad, chomping at the bit. And they'd go elsewhere because they knew they weren't going to get picked here. And you know what I mean? And it is what it is. I mean, these things do happen. I'm fine with it. But I do get, and we're going to touch on it when we discuss the Peel interview in a bit. But definitely, I want to chat to that about you and get your opinions on it. Regarding, there does seem to be a culture change going on, doesn't there?
Yeah, it does seem to be.
Behind the scenes. So, I mean, so what we got up next, yeah? So, right, not pre-season so far. So the Nottingham game. We'll talk about that. It's. I was quite amazed. There was a really, really good vibe and a really, really good. I mean, we're talking about the match day atmosphere first of all. I arrived a couple of hours before. We'd been out for a motorcycle run up to Llandafri, and I had to sort of leg it back. And on the motorbike, I just rode in quick to grab my ticket because I didn't want to have to queue for a ticket when I got there later.
Yeah.
And bike home and then back in. But when I grabbed a ticket, that was about an hour and a half, 2 hours before kick-off. The place was bouncing. The place was like...
Yeah.
But it was bouncing in a way, right? The feeling was there that you get, because it was sunny. Obviously, I know it's fans back for the first time was a mitigating factor in that atmosphere. But that was even just going hour and a half before. I mean, we have big games, and if you go to the ground hour and a half before, we're very apathetic Scarlet fans, aren't we? We go in last minute. We don't fill the ground early. We don't, you know what I mean? Not like Gloucester now, look at that. They're filling that ground an hour before kick-off. Yeah. It's just not in our culture that we've never done that. We're always very blasé, you know? But it was different Saturday. I got there and I had a feeling. It had that feeling of, you know, in the big cup games, like big cup home game in the old Welsh Cup, late in like a sunny April day or something like that. You know what I mean? It had that feel about it. And even though we knew, like, we'd seen the team and we knew there was going to be a lot of youngsters there. Of course, I mean, I arrived and they were just kicking off as I was getting my seat. And literally, it was, for the first 5 minutes, Nottingham, they got the ball, they didn't let go until they scored, basically. And you were just thinking, all right, okay. And immediately my thought was, well, at least Peel is going to have a lot less pressure and a lot less questions asked of him than any other coach coming in would have. He'll have a bit more grace from Scarlet fans than what any other coach would coming from foreign shores. If you remember, like when Pivac, his first 3 games where we lost 3 in a row, turned it around in the end and won the title, right? But and you just thought, you know, it was like, oh, right, is this the way it is? But then, because what it was, like, there was a passage of play in front of me in those first 10 minutes, I think. And I was quite concerned, and the fella, I didn't know him, but we were chatting throughout the game, and we both noticed it. The setup of our pods, both in attack and defence, you could literally see them, but you could literally see that they were disjointed and there was gaps in between the pods. Right, they were all over the place, and you were thinking, and one of them was we were attacking, and we were attacking very narrow, and there was gaps in the pods as well, even though they were narrow, right? And because they were like in a few different layers, and you just thought, if they turn this ball over, they've got the whole field to attack us. We're all over the place. It was worrying at first, and I'm just talking about like first 10 minutes, right? Then they slowly started to like get settled, and they slowly started to. I can't remember. There was no like catalyst for it. It just tended to settle, and you just all right, okay. They're just very rusty at the start. I think Peel mentioned it as well in the interview afterwards. But I already touched on it. First thing in comment was that was it Harry Williams, the scrum half, the one with the top, the bun.
That's it, the bun,
I looked at him putting in on the scrum, and I couldn't believe he was like a good few inches shorter than the referee and smaller than the referee.
He was small.
He was small. Okay, I don't know what his stats are. I haven't had a chance to look at them, and I should have maybe, now that I'm running a track based on Scarlet's players. But I'm just going to go with the flow. But and he fed into the scrum. I remember it was like, oh, I'm worried about this guy. Is he like, how is he going to cope? Certainly against Nottingham, but at the same time, I was thinking like against the big sides, how is he going to cope? Surely he can't be ready. But I was thinking, well, to put him in to start, Pete must have seen something in training from him, And I've heard other people talking about Harry Williams before I'd actually seen him play online in forums and things like that. No, I haven't actually seen him. Is he the Wales under 20s one?
Harry Williams is the under 20s when he was starting one of the games.
I've heard people talking. No, I haven't had actually chance to see him play in those games. But he was, as soon as we were getting a penalty, he was looking to snipe.
Which he did go a few times, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. His kicking game was spot on. His pass was lovely, and you could see from once he was starting to pass out, that service was as good as you'd want to see.
He's in front of the 10 all time. I know this guy was second row.
Hard, accurate, beautiful
passes.
Yeah, not scruffy at all. It was lovely, right? It was like
it's what a 10 wants, isn't it? Straight, direct.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel for him a bit because he, as Peel said, he didn't get the opportunity to do much because things were a bit scruffy in that first half. And I don't think his pass, maybe, I like Dan Jones, but his pass is wasted on someone like Dan Jones.
And Dan holds the ball a little bit too long for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not by for long, but I've watched Dan.
Sorry, go on.
I would say I've watched, as I'm not sure if anybody knows, but Tom Phillips, who's on the bench tomorrow, he's not my brother-in-law yet because we're not married, but He's my brother-in-law.
Right.
So I've watched Tom from the age of Wales under 16s. From under 16s, right? I've watched Tom play with the family. We've been all over the place. Auckland and not Auckland, sorry, Wellington up in England, North Wales, everywhere, right? And so I've seen Dan Jones a lot. And the first game I saw Dan Jones play was in the 16s. They had a little tournament thing in Wellington. And it was Wales versus England. Tom went off that game really early, but Dan was still on. He was a starting 10. He played the whole game. Right at the end of the game, England, right, had smashed us first half. Second half, we came right back. We had a chance to win it, right, the final play of the game. He was through, and it was basically a 2-on-1, literally about 10 yards out. All he had to do was draw the man, give, and I think it was Charlie Randall. I don't know if you heard that name.
Okay. I don't
Charlie Randall's brother. He was the man outside him, right? No one else to be seen. All he did was give the pass, he runs over, scores. We were like 2 points behind or something at that point. We win the game. Simple as that, win the tournament or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Dan Jones, I think he got a bit excited at that point, 16 years old or whatever he was, and decided, no, I'm going to do something extravagant here. And instead of just giving a simple little pass, we win the game, he done this grubber kick, right? Like a chip kick, trying to make it look all sexy rugby and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he absolutely butchered it, right? It literally went way too far, straight over the dead ball line. Everyone was like, what? It was like, it went from like, yes, go on, go on.
Yeah.
What the hell did I just watch? Like the crowd went flat. There's probably about 1,000 people watching it, right? And most Welsh, like, just went flat. And I thought at that point, what a plonker. Why have you done that for?
And the thing is, that is actually his strongest skill set. They call him Dinky Dan.
No, it is,
because he's got the ability to dink a little grubber or a kick, pinpoint accuracy. That is his strength to his game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Dan. I've always been a supporter of Dan. I've heard people there, they were saying like, perhaps, we need to get another 10, maybe Dan isn't good enough. And I'm like, I don't buy that he's not good enough, because he has proved in the past. When he's played against Toulon and Bath, he played 10 against Bath. Not Priestland went off. Patchell played 15 in that game. And they played, and they did that season where we were successful. He was doing that a lot, where he played Dan as first choice 10 and he played Patchell at full back. So I don't buy that Dan Jones isn't good enough. It's in his hands, basically. And it's the same. I like the way that Peel is setting all this up, in that a lot of the players, they've got these opportunities in their hands. Is what they do with it. So right, we've done. What have we done? 33 minutes now. We're on. So we need to move quickly on. Where were we? We were talking about the Nottingham game. Let's talk about the Peel interview. Now, I watched this a little while ago. A couple of things stood out for me about this interview. And while we're talking about it, as a little sort of like interjectory there, have you noticed the quality of all our media releases right now?
It's improved a lot. The Scarlets.
It was always pretty good.
Up,
it was always pretty good. But this season has gone. I don't know who they've got. Well, I have heard who they've got, because it was pointed out to me on a forum when I raised the question, which is, I think it's called Lens 360 is the company that they've signed up with, which obviously it's Ken's wife is. I'm not sure if it's her company, but she is involved.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what I found out on another forum. Someone mentioned it. But I'm not sure whether it's her doing the work. I think she sort of like is quite high up in the company. But they've clearly put somebody to do our media, and it's got the same look all the time, and it's very, very high quality.
I like it.
I looked into the company, Insta360, I'm not Insta360, oh my god, Lens 360, and they do bits for S4C, I think, and they do a few. They do Cardiff rugby. Not sure if they do the Ospreys, but I've seen Cardiff stuff, and it's quite good. The Cardiff stuff is, but ours seems different. Ours seems like it's either it's had more. We've put more money into it to get a better standard or whatever. But some of it is, I'll be honest, I'm a big Liverpool fan, right? And Liverpool are very, very good in their media side. And what we're releasing right now is up on a par with Liverpool. It is, you wouldn't believe it. That's what shocked me. And I'm quick enough, most people who know me, I am quick enough to moan about any little detail. I don't see things like, I think they should be with the Scarlets. And I know it can come across as me being negative sometimes, but it's because I care. You know what I mean? It's not because like I want to slag the club off or anything. But I just want to point that out. And then basically this Peel interview was, so the quality of that and all the other training montage and stuff like that that's been going on, that was fantastic. I hope whatever they're doing, they don't change it to keep it. You know what I mean?
Keep it as is.
The other thing was Gareth Evans has never sort of like struck me as somebody who is a natural at presentation.
Natural behind the camera, in front of the camera.
He's a good club man. I loved him as a team. He was a team manager, I think, wasn't he? And I thought he was brilliant at that. I thought that,
great player.
He was a really, really good team manager. But in this interview, he came out of himself a bit because he sat across the room from, it's like me talking here. It's easy.
From his old mate,
Right? Sitting down to chat about the Scarlets with his mate. So, and obviously they had an outline, much like we've got. I know you can't tell, but we have got an outline. Honest. But, so I just loved it. And there were so many things in that interview that Dwayne Peel and Garen pointed out that I was like, I was like, yes, finally someone's saying it at the club. In that, you know, and the things they highlighted, and this is really I liked about what he said, was the consistency, because that's been the one thing we've always been inconsistent, and part of that is like he was saying, like, to get a place in the team you have to train well, and this is what he was talking about earlier. He's changing that culture of like internationals just walking back in the team. Now that's not, you know, it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anymore. It's like you're going to be judged not on what you've done for other teams, like with, and I think this is where things in the past have unravelled a bit, where with people when they were Scarlets, or like the likes of George North and people like that, in that they were just, you know, everybody could see it, right? Whether George wants to admit it or not, fans' eyes don't lie to them. They know what they're seeing, right? And what we saw towards the end, whether there's stuff going on in the background, but and I'm not digging out George on this now. You know, this is all internationals. When they've come back, sometimes they get into that stale thing because it's obvious they've gone to the Millennium Stadium, they played for Wales, or they've gone with the Lions and they played at that high level, right? So when they do come back to Parc Scarlets, it is like it might be a struggle for them to get up for it because it's not as intense, it's not as bigger crowd, you know. So
yeah, of course.
And it's not through something that they thought, I'm not going to bother. I know that's not the case. They're professionals. What I'm on about is subliminally, or you know, without realizing it, it was happening, and then the coaches weren't spotting it and writing it, basically. Because you know, that's I don't blame the players. I blame the coaches. Like, if someone's not performing, your job is to decide, right, you're not performing, you've got to perform better. You're losing your place now because he's performing better. And this is what Peel seemed to be implying that is going to be his mantra within.
Yeah, I think it will be
the changing room doors, basically. He said a lot of things without saying as well, without talking. And you need to really re-watch that interview back, because there's some quite telling points there that he made. I'm not going to go into them all now because we've got to sort of move on with what we're going to cover. But I really enjoyed that Dwayne Peel interview. He strikes me as someone well-spoken, intelligent, and someone the fans can really, really get behind. And I'm prepared for any dips, or, you know, this isn't going to be like, oh, while we're winning, he's great. you know, it's like whatever happens, I think the whole fan base is behind Wayne Peel and his.
He's one of
staff.
our own, isn't he?
Yes, one of our own.
He's one of us.
Yeah, one of us. I love that saying.
But
that saying winds up opposition fans so much. Some of them, not all of them, but it does wind up. When I see something that annoys someone, I say it even more. But
with some players, right? Like for me, for example, seeing Scott Williams running out in Osprey shirt.
Oh, I know, it's filthy.
I felt something in your mind.
I mean, filthy as in a bad way.
Yeah, I seen it. I was like, oh, you know, like it's you like you're like, oh, Scott,
yeah,
come back, boy.
And George. This is, you know,
yeah.
I felt the same when I saw George. I didn't feel that bad when I saw George in a Northampton shirt. When I saw that synthetic top, I'm like, sorry, but hey, this is a Scarlet fan channel. I don't mind. We're going to open it up for debates with all fans of all other teams, and if there's anybody else that's as forward thinking as Scarlet fans and they've got their own media, fan media, then by all means we're open for some debate. But right now, I think the Scarlets are breaking the mold in that we are sort of what's the word? When you do something for the first time, we are setting the trend basically. So, and I don't mean me, we as in me and you, I'm on about Scarlet fans in general. So, yeah, I mean, that Peel interview was, I think we'll look back at that. It'll be interesting to look back at it, after a season or two, how we've done, then to rewind and I think we'll do it as like a live stream or recording, where as fans we'll sort of like looking back at that interview, at the things he said. But even as a standalone interview, forgetting about judging him by what he does, that interview was, at least he has clearly identified a lot of things. That was one of the things he spoke about. One about being a Scarlet, about being the boys who are local in the team, some from the town, some from West Wales, but then others from East Wales. But then he talked about what being a Scarlet meant to foreign stars. That
Fino, Hodges, them kind of players.
This is it. In that they came in and actually they got it more than some of the locals.
Yeah, and they literally bought in.
Yeah, they bought into it straight away.
It was all about.
And this is why the fans recognised it. That's why Chris Wyatt, Madden, and I'm sorry if I leave anybody out. I don't mean to. I'm just like running off the top of my head here. Wyatt, Madden, Hodges. There's quite a few, isn't there? Finau, obviously. Even people like Matt Cardy. I was looking at an article about him and I was reading the backstory about him. It was quite an interesting story he's got. Because I forgot that he was caught up in all the Granny Gate saga. I always remember it being the fullback from Newport and Brett Sinkerson. What was the fullback from Newport? I can't remember his name now.
Simon
No, dark haired one.
Howarth?
Shane Howarth. In that, when that all broke, I remember they were at the centre of it, but it was actually Matt Cardy got drawn into it, even though he was legit. He did have a birth certificate of his grandmother. I forget where she was from in Wales, but he was. He got dragged into it because he'd come from New Zealand, the same as them. So he was tarred with that same brush. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off subject now. We were on about training. He was describing that. And he also touched upon he was going to look to Foxy, Ken, the local generals in our squad, to reinstate that Scarlets comes first.
Yeah.
Performances at the Scarlets in that shirt come first. They're your bread and butter. And the thing is, this is what they've always done in England. Leicester players playing for England, Martin Johnson, it was always Leicester first. They're still proud Englishmen, and Dalio playing with Wasps and things like this. It was always putting their clubs first. That's what it was based on. And over the years, wherever you want to blame for it, you can't get away and you can't deny the fact that it has happened, in that Welsh pro players have treated the clubs they play for have been treated like incubators to just wrap up in cotton wool, ready for their next international. I'm sorry if that maybe upset somebody, but it's the truth.
It is the truth.
So, and I think, and this is what I was saying about Dwayne Peel saying things without actually saying it. The subjects he touched on, well, they clearly lead down that road then of...
They do, yeah.
Right? So, and you know what? The reason I loved it was because it's been such a long time coming. Those things needed to be said. And he hasn't said them, like, at anybody.
Yeah.
He just said them out loud so we could hear. And I thought that's what's making me like, yeah, he gets it, you know? So, yeah, I mean, moving on, there was one other thing and I can't remember what it was now. Let's have a look. Yeah, it was to do with the Peel interview. I can't remember. He signed off with something that he said as well, but it's slipped my mind now. There was so much in that interview, but we're gonna go on now. If I remember it, I'll jump back onto it. But there was also regarding interviews. There was also an article that was written with a lot of quotes from Sean Fitzpatrick, which was just before the Dwayne Peel interview, and that was quite telling. It was a really good interview. I'm not going to go into it in depth. There was just one thing I wanted to cover with this, and I don't know how you feel about it. He just came out with a stat, basically, and I haven't had a chance to confirm this stat, but if it's true, it's remarkable. He said Harlequins did not give one international player. They won the title last season and they did not lose one player to an international collar all season. Every game they played.
That's pretty mad, that is, actually. I haven't even thought about it, but I'm coming to think about it. I don't remember seeing any Harlequins players in England set up or any other countries. Come to think about it.
Is Danny Kerr? He's moved a couple of times, isn't he? He's not still there. Is he Saracens?
I don't really pay much attention to anything other
than
Scarlet.
I'm sort of like, I'm not in the loop a bit about where they all are. But this is what I'm on about. I'd love to check. And anyone watching, if you know, to confirm that stat, and let us know in the chats, because we will respond to you. So yeah, I mean, that was the only point I wanted to make. I love the fact that Sean Fitzpatrick is on board, pardon the pun, but because he is an outside voice, and he is a voice that if he's seeing the same things the fans are seeing, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And to coin a Roy Keane phrase is, you know, he's don't like you, right? They don't,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But for some reason, the powers that be, they've got away with this for a long, long time. I don't want to make this episode about all the deep politics about Welsh rugby because we'd be simply not enough bandwidth on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, looking ahead, that's that covered. Tomorrow, we discussed the Scarlets team. We haven't discussed the Tigers team, so we're gonna get rid of that. Put that back up. There you go. We've got the Tigers team here.
Before we go on to the Tigers team, touching on what you said about Sean Fitzpatrick, someone asked me, right? Would you rather see Wales win a Rugby World Cup or the Scarlets win a European Cup? My answer, every single day of the week, twice on a Sunday, would be Scarlets winning the European Cup.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Club before country for me, my man.
To be honest, I know this is going to rub a lot of people up the wrong way. I'm wondering whether I should say it because everybody just be unsubscribing like that, right? But to be honest, and what would you rather me? Would people rather me lie, or does Welsh rugby need basic? Just like as a rugby fan, you can clearly see we are Scarlet mad. We should be Wales mad too, but the reality is, especially internationally in West Wales. The proper, I don't mean to say proper because I don't want to make it sound like people who don't have this view are proper, but there's a lot of the fan base that they're a bit like they can take it or leave it with Wales. They don't get that same feeling. They don't get that same sort of like that's their team.
Yeah.
That, when I watch Wales play, that's not my team really. I can't get involved in. And I am like that with all international sport, to be honest. But my contentious point was, for me, you know they got Gareth Bale flag when he was like golf.
Oh yeah.
Was it Wales, Golf, Madrid?
Golf.
Was it in that order?
In that order,
yeah. Right. For me, Scarlet, Liverpool football, British Lions. I'm trying motorcycling.
Your list as long as your arm coming out here, like.
Yeah, and, I'm looking for other things that they don't deserve. Wales don't. For me, they don't deserve third place in my list, right? And I know I'm going to have heat for this. I know, and I understand it, right? There are some people, and this is it though. This is how they get away with it, is because people will accept anything if it's Wales. They will accept their clubs being put into brinkmanship. They will accept underfunding for their professional teams. They will accept anything. They will accept being made to take out a loan to pay their own wages, right? And things like this.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, in my book, that's not loyalty. Why should I show loyalty to someone that's disloyal to everything in the Welsh game below the national team? That they don't care about anything in the national team. I mean, we could. I'll tell you one quick one. We're gonna. I haven't actually run this by you, so I'm gonna surprise you with this because I forgot to mention it to you earlier. The announcement yesterday about this new 12s tournament that's going to go on in England. I presume you've seen of it, yeah?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I first saw it, I was like, what are they on about? What is this? And I had to read deep into it. I was like, who's this involving? And when are they going to play it? And who is going to play for them? And then when you look into it, it's an English-based sort of thing. I don't know when they're going to play it, but it's 12 players on the team. 12, they won't be, right, I'll change my thing. 12 players on the franchise and 12 franchises, because that's what they're not teams in my book. And this is this where this private equity is going to take the sport?
Yeah.
Just adding more layers to try and make more money. Like the game is falling apart as it is. You've got levels of the game that are crumbling, and you're looking to put more layers on top of the upside down pyramid, right?
Right.
It's
right.
Crackers. I say who is coming up with this, and then you look at the names that are behind it, and Gareth Davis is behind it. One of the names. Right? And there's some big names as well alongside him.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is that these guys are clearly out of touch with anything to do with the game.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to be proved wrong. But sorry, I'm off on a rant now. So right, I just wanted to mention that. I don't know where it's going to go. It was only announced yesterday. There's no real meat on the bones. But it's a shocking development. Right as the season's starting, they're announcing this thing. It's detracting from any good work that, we've got a new league about to start next month. And this gets just put out there.
It's like it was thrown together for me, right?
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun to watch, mixing players up and what have you, but... Yeah. For me, it's like soccer aid. You watch ex-pros and celebrities.
See, now I don't watch that.
Having a game.
I love football, but I can't watch that. To me, that's just like...
nonsense, isn't it? It's like fun to watch. I think it'll be fun to watch, players who will never play with each other in the real world.
I'm run together, normally we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I'm like, I'm struggling. I'm trying to like. What about this?
Overall, as a whole, I don't agree with that. I think it's going to be nonsense, but it'll be one of them things that'll be fun to watch.
I guarantee one of the team names is going to be Warriors. I guarantee one of the team names is going to be Dragons. I guarantee one of the names is going to be, I don't know, it's just going to be ridiculous.
It'll be stupid stuff, yeah.
Yeah, let's move around. This is what they're doing. They're moving around the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
basically.
It'll be like booking a fantasy, like your fantasy football and that, and
Yeah.
That's all it is, basically.
Fact,
someone's put real money into it and made it real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
this is it. But in fact, right, my analogy there, and it's one that a lot of people use about rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's actually worse than that. It's asking the orchestra to stand on the chair. That's what it's asking, so that we survive a little bit longer as it sinks.
And you know what'll happen? At the end, they'll say, "It's been an honour to play with you this evening, gentlemen," and I'll be like, "Back to your clubs you go." That's what's gonna happen, you know what?
You hit the nail on the head. Brilliant stuff. Right, let's crack on anyway, because so looking ahead for tomorrow, obviously, we're going to try and get watch along parties / live stream. If you're a Scarlet fan or general rugby fan and you want to watch the game, you do have to go on leicestertigers.com, I think it is. Leicester Tigers official site anyway, and there's a link in there where you just register your details and they'll email you at 5 o'clock tomorrow and you'll get a link to the live stream of the game. Now obviously I'm happy to do that, you're happy to do that, but the thing is like, if you're looking for something more Turk than two Leicester, because I think they're having a Leicester player and somebody from the Leicester media are going to be commentating on the game. So if you prefer, me and Chris are going to be watching it and discussing it here. So if you prefer to tune in to us, we'd more than welcome you to
It'll be fun as well,
listen to us and watch the stream, basically. Mute the Tigers and listen to the Turks, because we'll talk much more sense, honestly. We promise.
If you're looking for a more one-eyed approach, tune in.
Definitely. Cyclops approach. So yeah, that's about it really. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're coming up to the hour. Bang on. So excellent.
Should we have a quick sprint to the Leicester team before we go? I don't know half these names, to be honest.
And that's why I sort of skipped it. Is like George Ford is there. George
Ford and Ben Youngs, you know what they're going to bring.
Yeah, I think, is it Fred Stewart? I'm sure I've heard that name before.
That front row was okay, I think. I don't know Callum Green, but obviously you know what Tom Young's, Dan Cole,
you know what you're going to get, right? You're going to have some, they're going to be strong. They're going, you know what you get with Leicester, no matter what team they put out. And very much so like what we said with the Scarlets, you know the DNA. You know
yes, you do.
How these guys have been coached. Who is the coach now? Is it?
It's Borthwick.
That's right, Borthwick.
Borthwick.
Which I find strange.
Bathman.
I find that strange, really.
That's like
Lynn Jones
Cooper gonna coach Swans. Yeah, something like that. It's a bit weird.
Or Sean Hawley.
I'm looking forward to see how Tommy Reffel goes. The Tigers starting 7, Tommy Reffel. I'm looking forward to see how he goes.
Right.
Because isn't he Welsh or Welsh qualified or half Welsh or something?
I think
he's a good player.
Welsh players, because Gareth Evans, there's a few Welsh names in there at least.
Definitely.
Gareth Evans.
Like Nadolo.
Freddie Burns is on the bench. Richard Wigglesworth.
Yeah, you know what they're going to bring, don't you? You know what they're about. Them players.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's a chance to get to know the Leicester side.
Am I seeing things here? Look at the bench. One name
Harry
there that's like
Potter.
magical. Like, you know he's going to be a wizard, don't you? He's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You just know he's going to come on and, a little bit of magic.
As well, there's some cracking names in there. I mean, this is, I'm very excited for the season is bubbling now.
I'm looking forward to it. Once again, as a Scarlet fan.
Having fans back in the ground. Cameron Henderson.
It's hard to call this and then comment on this team because we don't know a lot of these players.
This was intriguing because we're not going to know what's going to go on until we see the both teams sort of collide.
Until you watch the game. Yeah.
We would like
I'm looking forward to Harry Potter though. That's all I want to see.
I can't wait to see Harry Potter
come on and create some magic.
You're going to have to come up with a bit of a GIF reaction on the stream so that I can click it when Harry Potter comes on.
And the Scarlet Dragon.
Harry Potter scores. What are we going to do if Harry Potter scores, mate?
There's a gif of Hagrid in there going, "You're a wizard, Harry." That one, get that on there. Or we can do like, I don't know.
That would be funny.
I hope, to be honest, one day he's an international star. Imagine the match programs, like an Harry Potter cover. Harry Potter and the Scarlet Dragon or something like that. I don't know, a book like.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the front row. They've gone hard in their
experience.
In their front row. Their halfbacks, first team. Although I was reading, there's a prediction, there was a BT thing on Twitter, and they were texting all the Premiership teams asking them, who do you think is going to make a name for themselves, blah, blah, blah. And I forget the name, but I think there's a foreign signing, I think he's South African, that they've signed at scrum half, and there's a couple of people tipping that this foreign signing is going to push Ben Youngs this year, because obviously Ben Youngs, the scrum half, is he's not as young as what he used to be, despite the name.
No.
So yeah, but I think you know they're going to give us. They're not going to give an inch up front. We'll do very well to get any dominance. And I don't like this is a thing. I don't like the word when coaches say parity up front. Why would anybody in the game of rugby be looking for parity? Dominance you look for, not parity. If you look for parity, you lose it. Look for dominance, and if you lose that, you'll get parity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the mindset. I don't like that mindset of that term. I know perhaps people don't mean it when they say it, but it does my head in. Anyway, so I think you've got to go now, have you? Are you alright for time?
Couple of minutes.
So we're going to more or less wrap it up. We do want the involvement of Scarlet fans. This isn't about me and Chris. This isn't about this channel. We're setting this up for regular content to be shared, to be engaged with. We just recorded this first one, but we are going to be looking to live stream more. We've also got a contact that is going to be, we've got a few people that's going to be lining up for coming in for interviews. We're going to do live match watch-alongs, but we're also going to do like match reactions, which like this, but they'll probably be live instead of pre-recorded. If you're interested in being part of it and coming on the show and having a chat like Chris has here now, chatting with myself, or sometimes it might be Chris leading it and that you'll chat with him, and maybe I might not be available. But if you want to air your views on a subject as we go through the season, then by all means, that's what this channel is for. It's for Scarlets fans to be able to have a media outlet with no problems or the club are affiliated with it, so that they can't be seen to be associated with it. We've got no links with anybody. We are independent. We are just fans. This is made by fans for fans. Like I said, I want a few interviews with lots of different fans, and I've got a few in mind. I won't name them now because I need to make contact with them. But I've discussed it with you as well. There's a few pearlers that if we could get them on and chat, I think they're going to be good. But also, follow us along on obviously Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. What I'd like is, if you don't want to come on the channel where we're live streaming, or you don't want to chat with us, which we would love that, but if you can't, or you won't, or you don't want to, but you would like to be involved, another way would be to, if you want to record a quick segment of pre or post match reaction or halftime reaction, send it to us via Twitter or whatever, and what we'll do, we'll edit them into a video and we'll highlight that as a fan reaction video and we'll put it up on the channel. We want to do that for Scarlet fans to bring us all together, because it's fantastic having fans back in the ground and everything. But I just think looking at fan channels, the way things are going with live streaming, fan channels, fan media, this is the way forward. And why shouldn't
it's the future? Yeah.
It is the future, and you're right. And I think number one, why it hasn't trickled into rugby just yet, and it should. But if it does, I want the Scarlets to be at the fore. Not for me, not for you, or we're not trying to be famous or nothing like that, or make any money out of it. But we just want to have a place of engagement and there's lots of ideas we've got, isn't there? I think tune in for the live stream because we've got a quick unveil that some of you might quite like.
It's going to be awesome. I promise you guys, if you're watching this, you want to watch the live stream tomorrow, we got something absolutely, sorry to quote Harry Potter once again, but magical lined up for you, especially the older generation who would be in Australia Park. It's something that I think you'll all enjoy. Also as well, we have spoke about, hopefully, it's not confirmed yet, hopefully getting some past Scarlet names on here for interviews, talk about them, how they're doing now, about their career with the Scarlets, all that kind of thing. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, brilliant. And there's much more planned, but we're not going to go into too much of it because there's a lot of hard work. We've obviously done a bit of work with regards to graphics and setting up webcams and things like that to set this theme up, that this is the content platform that we're going to be using. And it goes as far as you guys allow it to go. So we really need your support. We're going to bid you farewell and we'll probably see you tomorrow. What time we're going to be tuning in? I think we're going to tune in about 5:30, 5:45, yeah. Yeah, about an hour or so, an hour or so before the game. And we're going to have a little chat then, but it's going to be live. So tune in because we want to share our thoughts together, but we want you to react to it and we'll react to whatever you throw at us. So I think that's going to be fun. So we're going to leave it there for today. It's been a nice long one, 1 hour, 6 minutes. I think we've given a good chunk there. Hopefully you can sit down through it. Hopefully we haven't bored you too much, but it's Scarlet's talk at the end of the day.
And I didn't look at my script once. No, I'm just joking.
I looked there. Yeah, I didn't give you one. Right, okay, take care everybody. Thank you for watching. And Chris, take care pal. I shall speak to you either later or tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Till then, take care. Ymlaen Scarlets.